Alright, we're back with another episode. Finished up talking about all the indie shows along with the Ring of Honor show that we attended this WrestleMania week. We are here to talk about WrestleMania Night 1.
Right.
And of course, Night 2.
Let's try.
Yeah, we're going to try. If we skip...
SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
Yeah. If we skip through a couple matches, it's mainly because they weren't as interesting, you know?
You know?
And
yes.
I don't know, sir. Could you say the same for the first match on Night 1?
I think so.
Yeah. Austin Theory and John Cena faced off for the U.S. Championship, but as we sort of felt, you know, the lack of build, the lack of real development of the story that they were trying to tell, and, you know, personally just a feeling of a lack of performance from Cena himself in this match just didn't produce the best outcome when it came to this match.
I tell you what, I don't know if we got to spend more time talking about it than they themselves talked about it leading up to it. It was sweet, though, to see them kids on the stage cheering their hero, John Cena, on.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I saw the kids on the stage, I was worried Austin Theory was going to do something to those kids.
Oh, man. Yeah. We don't have to worry. He's not MJF.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you.
Oh, man. But
Austin Theory picks up the biggest win of his career, you know, build aside.
Yeah. Picks up a big win, and, you know, it's interesting to see where they go from here, you know? A lot of people look at him as a project in the sense of, like, they think the company has big plans to make him into one of their next main eventers. Really got to hope to see that development in this year.
Mm-hmm.
But our second match of the night was the tag showcase between Braun Strowman, Ricochet, the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders.
A lot more eventful than our opener.
Yeah, this one was real good. Got to see a lot of people shine in this one. You know, got to see Chad Gable hitting that impressive suplex on Strowman. Was real good.
Yeah.
Got to see Strowman come off the top rope, which was pretty crazy, you know. And then when he was doing his train thing on the outside, he goes for it a second time, only to be tackled by Angelo Dawkins, who was waiting for him. And then that's immediately followed up by Ricochet hitting a crazy shooting star press to the outside.
Mm-hmm. This is quite the spot fest.
Yeah. And then, you know, the finish of the match, as I've said, was just pretty crazy, just the way they did it, where he tries to hit another shooting star press. Angelo Dawkins gets the knees up and holds him in place so Montez Ford could perform that frog splash onto the knees, which was crazy to see.
Hey, whose frog splash is better, Montez Ford or Tanahashi?
I have to give it to Montez just because of the absolute athletic display he always does with it.
You really do have to, though.
Especially because the one thing that always gets me is how he turns around halfway through sometimes.
Ooh, busting that RVD, you know, adjustment in the air.
Yeah, it's real impressive when he does that. But they get the win, and, you know, if you keep up with Raw, you saw that they got a title opportunity last night against the tag champs, which I won't name to not spoil.
Goodness.
Who could have those tag champs been? But we move on to our third match of the night, and that's Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you later, Jack, what your favorite entrance was, because there's a lot of theatrics done with some of these entrances, and what your least favorite was, because some of them fall a little flat for me. But Logan Paul comes in on a zip line, on a mic, telling LA every reason why you should boo this man.
Yeah, and not only that, he's accompanied by a life-size bottle of his beverage company.
Prime. And you know, Jack, if you're a wrestling fan, to keep an eye on that Prime bottle.
Yeah, the moment I saw them stay at ringside, I was like, oh, someone's got to be in there.
Uh-huh.
It's Jay White, the Switchblade.
Can you imagine that? That's how they introduce him.
It was funny, though. When I was telling my brother and my dad about it, I was like, watch it be Seth Rollins at first.
What? Oh,
He
that'd have been a wild entrance if he's like, they hit music.
Just like,
and
bro, he's waiting for him, and out of nowhere, Seth Rollins is the one in the prime suit attacking him, you know? But I'm like, it's kind of going to be hard to get that off, you know?
It wouldn't even be the weirdest thing we've ever seen him wear.
Yeah. But that's what I thought at first. I'm like, oh, it's Seth Rollins. There's no way they're going to have like a prime thing just dancing with him.
That's very funny. Jack, have you seen the like backstage video of Seth Rollins getting ready for his entrance, and he's wearing what he's wearing, and Becky Lynch is like, "I'm so jealous right now."
Oh man, I have to give Rollins his props when it comes to his attires. As weird and crazy as they are always getting people to react and getting their attention and all that. And I just couldn't believe what he was wearing when he came out. I was like, oh my goodness.
How would you describe it?
Man, I don't really know how to describe. I almost thought it looked a bit like, I feel like it would look like one of Shawn Michaels' old entrances in a way.
It's very, it's funny how his gimmick is now Met Gala.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so imagine you bought your sweetheart a Valentine's present and wrapped it in red saran wrap, and she unwrapped it and took the red saran wrap and balled it up to throw it away. The balled up red saran wrap. Seth Rollins.
Yeah, he's always coming out with these absolutely wild entrances. I'll never forget when, I don't know if you've seen them, sir, those big old red boots that have been going around social media. Someone brought it up literally the day before Raw. They were like, man, this seems like something Seth Rollins would wear. He's probably going to, this seems like something he would come out to. And then the next night he comes out with those shoes on, and I'm like, oh my goodness. He's listening to the people's ideas for what he should do next.
And you know what he was listening to? You know what the people were telling him? Beat Logan Paul.
Yeah, he was laying into him. But
he certainly was. Any spots stand out to you?
Well, I have to bring this up because it was funny that I saw someone mention this. Logan Paul, in terms of his wrestling style and what he does in the ring when he has these matches, is basically he's given the moveset of a WWE 2K character, because he hits the buckshot lariat, he has that springboard attack, standing moonsault, and he even hit the go to sleep in this match.
Yes, he did.
And then I always find it funny when ever I go on social media and I see Kenta talking about the GTS because it's his move, and he immediately tweeted out afterwards. He was like, Kenta versus CM Punk versus Logan Paul, all because he used the GTS.
That's absurd.
But I think the one spot people are talking about is the reveal of who was in the Prime bottle.
It's none other than KSI. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I think it speaks to his following, the kind of reaction he got.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I just started laughing the moment I saw it was revealed to be him. I was like, oh my goodness. I should have known, because they're the
I don't know, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see it coming at all. I thought it was a wrestler. I thought it was going to be a wrestler. It is straight up just KSI.
Yeah. But
the spot everybody's talking about, because we've seen Logan Paul hit that big splash off the top rope onto the commentator's table. They're going to do Seth like that. They got him laid out there. KSI is recording it. And I haven't seen that recording yet.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen it either. But, yeah, unlike times of old, where the celebrity gets the big spot over on the wrestler, Rollins moves out, pulls KSI onto the table, which Paul then jumps off onto him.
Yep.
We see Rollins hit a pedigree, but Paul kicks out of that.
Can you imagine?
And then we finally see Rollins hit the super kick, and then coming off the top rope. Oh, he hits him with a super kick when he's jumping out the top rope, and then he hits him with the stomp to get the win.
Yes, he does. And it felt real good.
Yeah. Very, very good match, in terms of celebrity match, obviously.
Yep.
And, just hoping I don't want to say better because I don't want to make it sound like this match was a bad thing, but hoping for a lot more for Seth Rollins coming out of Mania.
You and me both.
Yeah. And speaking of me wanting more for certain wrestlers in the WWE, we have Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus facing off against Damage Control.
That's Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
One of whom I think you wish had more.
Yes. But this match and build has somewhat been awkward to me. Mm-hmm. Like the introduction of Lita and Trish Stratus was, I don't know, some people expected. I thought it was a bit unexpected. It was weird seeing Becky Lynch and Lita win the tag titles for whatever reason going into this match.
Yeah. It's frustrating, Jack, that like I wish I, could enjoy more, but people all the time when they fantasy book, they're like, Damage Control, these people that I enjoyed 20 years ago should come out and, like The Rock, you know what I mean? Like, they should come out and show these gals what's what. And you're like, you really want Lita from 20 years ago to fight this fight. You don't want Lita today to fight this fight, do you? Because 20 years is a long time. Trish looks like she's in great shape. Lita was hard to watch in this match, if I'm being so bold.
Yeah, it was definitely something noticeable that, like, unlike when she had that match, who did she face off against? Was it Becky Lynch in Saudi Arabia?
In Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, that one I feel like it might have been shorter. I don't know for sure, but like that one felt like at least a bit more like watchable, if I want to say that word, And
I'll tell you what, Io Sky, right, like, is doing her part. She made whoever was fighting her, one of the two legends, look like $1 million the way she was, jumping around and selling everything.
Yeah, and I think that was when it was most notable, was when you had like Dakota and Io in there, and it was like they were outpacing literally whoever they were in there with, and it was like I think you bring up the whole fantasy booking part. It's like I think that's one thing people often fail to consider is like the styles, and then plus when you're bringing these people back, like you're gonna realize the drastic sort of what's the word I want to use, like like how you were saying, you're gonna see that difference in wrestling ability because of all the years that have passed. So it's like putting someone like Lita in the ring with Io, who can literally move at like 100 miles an hour, basically. Like,
you're gonna expose somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just wasn't the best.
Into it, I wasn't.
Yeah, and of course, to me at least, the thing that makes it so difficult to really get into is what has Damage Control done since their debut but lose? They've lost
the tag titles that they lost.
I mean, other than the tag titles, it's like, think about it. Remember, they got beat 3-on-1 by Bianca that one night. They lost the War Games match.
Yeah.
They lost the tag titles to Becky Lynch and Lita, and now Damage Control as a whole loses here at Mania, and it's just like, you almost want to look back and just be like, what has this group done except lose?
Goodness.
And now, who even knows what's ahead for the group, because now we're just seeing a bunch of ominous tweets about Bayley, not knowing what her status is, and now don't know what.
And not to mention, what's her name? Money.
Mercedes.
Mercedes. I don't know why I can't commit that first name to memory. Mercedes Moné is busting a Cody and showing her peers the options that they didn't realize they had.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. So, but who knows what's going to happen when it comes to Damage Control at this point?
WWE don't know.
Yeah.
Oof. That sick hot take.
Yeah. But we move on to our live display of warranted child abuse.
Oh, we do. Yeah, that's the next match. And I'm going to tell you, Jack, right now, my match of the night.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match a lot too. The funniest part to me was because I saw someone bring it up, but I thought it was odd even from the start. We have this super serious father versus son match, that's had...
I know what you're going to say.
Essentially almost a full year of build. Did you know that we're also sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and we're going to have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot standing out there?
Jack, I was so frustrated with all of the sponsorship. Not just this one, but the TurboTax one and the Night 2 main event. Yeah. Every time they flashed that logo, I was mad. Get out of here. I've done my taxes. Ugh. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Yeah. With a sin emoji.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it that was all ringside. But do not let it take away. You brought it up earlier. And sir, at this point, you probably figured it out. My favorite thing in wrestling is the presentation. I think all of it matters most. I have a whole video planned to do in the future about it.
Ooh.
These two men obviously have it nailed down because we get a whole video package of a jail and the police getting Dominic Mysterio out of it and escorting him. And then the car pulls in and they pull him out. And he's wearing the mask from Halloween Havoc when his dad faced off against Eddie Guerrero.
And, he's doing a lot more than he has to. But we appreciate every second and detail of it. But then people are ready to boo him out of the city.
Yeah.
When they see him.
And this is going to sound dumb because he's his son. But when he had that mask, he really looked like Ray to me. Like I was he looks so much like Ray.
You say it, you think it goes without saying, but I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, that's so funny that their eyes and their chin shape are so identical. It's uncanny.
Yeah, and then we see Rey Mysterio make 3 entrances basically, all in one. He comes out with Snoop Dogg in a lowrider, and it's the first part of him coming out to a Snoop Dogg song. And then when he makes it out there to the crowd to see him, Eddie's music starts playing because they're in the lowrider. And then finally he ascends the stage, and his music starts playing.
Yep. That was a very busy entrance, but fun, right?
Yeah.
My only hang-up is that he's also referencing the Great Muta with his very weird mask. Like, it's not a Rey Mysterio mask. It's a Muta mask.
Yeah.
That, he's done up with designs. And I'm like, my man, I know you like to do this. And we've referenced Eddie and Snoop Dogg already. But this weekend is for you, man. You should be the most Rey Mysterio you could possibly be right now. Especially in this blood feud. Jack, why are we coming down to Snoop Dogg music with Snoop Dogg if we're in a blood feud?
Yeah. Oh, man. But
you know what? If anybody knows anything about a blood feud, Snoop Dogg. Hey, in the pre-show, I don't know if you saw it, but the panel, Rosenthal, what's his name?
Peter Rosenberg, I think? Yeah, I think it's Berg.
Peter Rosenberg, Booker T, Wade Barrett. They're talking to this boxer. He's this Mexican guy. And everyone's excited to see him, and it's so funny how awkward he is because, he's got limited English, right? But at the end of his, interview, he's like, I just want to say one thing. Mexicans, we handle family things a certain way, he says, and I'm just very excited to see Ray do it so publicly. And I'm like, I don't know if he said what he meant to say, but we all heard what he said. And he's like, Mexicans, we handle situations a certain way. And I'm like, he just told the world we beat our kids.
Oh, man. And funny enough, they played into the match where Dom gets stuck in the corner and you just see Ray take off the belt and start spanking him with it.
Oh, that's so good. I'm all about Dominic, too, egging on his mom at ringside again.
Yeah.
We're at the main event. We're at the Wrestlemania. So what did she do, Jack?
She slapped him, right?
Ooh, across the face. And the crowd cheered a woman slapping that guy.
And then he also threw the drink in his own sister's face.
He did. And I like not just to be me, but to egg his dad on, you know what I mean? Like, just to get him close to him. And I'm like, this is good. I'm really into this.
Yeah, and then he hits the 619, almost has it, but Judgment Day came out and interfered.
They sure do.
But
his
then,
running buddies.
Yeah, but then we get the arrival of Legado del Fantasma, now rebranded as the Latino World Order.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, you know, but I wonder where they're going to go with it, you know? I wonder if they're going to keep it around or if it was a one-time sort of like pop thing. They came out in the shirts, so who knows?
Yeah, and you know, it's not a bad thing. Like, Legado del Fantasma is something unique, right? Lived in NXT and was very successful in NXT. But this other thing, you know, it's like, it might make people pay more attention to really talented people.
Yeah. And one thing we forgot to mention, so we mentioned Titus previously joined on commentary. This time, Bad Bunny joined the Spanish commentary, and I was glad when I heard that because I was like, thank goodness they're not trying to make him be on the English commentary and forcing him to try and like speak through in English, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they let him be with the Spanish commentary team, and I only mention this because it comes into play. Dominic hits a 619 in his own, doesn't get the 3 count. He tries to hit his father with a chain that Damian Priest snuck into him while I think the ref was either distracted or down. And that's when Bad Bunny comes and grabs the chain, preventing him from using it. And that allows Ray to hit the 619 and Frog Splash for the win.
I love this match. And there was so many different people involved, Jack. For a one-on-one, non-title grudge match, you had his mom and his sister. You had all the members of LWO. You had the 2 Judgment Day guys come out. And you had Bad Bunny involved in this farce. And it was incredible.
Yeah, and the moment it happened, I literally looked to my dad and I was like, well, we know Backlash is in Puerto Rico. We know what's happening there now.
Hey, I think he jumps Dom or he attacks Dom on Monday too, right?
Yeah, and then he gets chokeslammed through a table.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
This is my thing I have to mention. I think we mentioned it before because of, you know, just this influx of celebrity matches we've had.
Yeah.
I give props to these guys for not being like celebrities of old and being willing to do the training, take the bumps, you know, like before it was always the celebrities getting the beat down on the guy and not taking anything. We literally saw Bad Bunny get chokeslammed through the announce table. When have we seen that happen to a celebrity, you know? I'm glad like a lot of them are taking it seriously and getting into
KSI, hey, you're going to lay across this table and we're going to smash you through it. Maybe the prime bottle caution was going to break the fall or maybe something or other. But he's like, yeah, man, let's go. Let's go.
You want to know something interesting I learned because of that spot happening? Someone mentioned on social media that, you know, because he's British, back in 2015, someone actually pitched to have him on Progress, the British promotion.
Whoa!
They pitched it all the way back in 2015, and they thought, you know, it wasn't going to work. And now here we are with him appearing on, you know, during the Logan Paul match, which it makes sense now because he's grown much bigger since 2015, but he was still pretty big in 2015, and for a promotion like Progress, it maybe could have helped grow their stock.
You know, I want to go back to the pre-show too, which I enjoyed. I'm glad I caught it because I think there's still this like division between celebrities who are in it because it's cool or, you know, they notice the attention it's getting, so they're going to Stephen A. Smith pretend like they watch wrestling. Or you're Gabriel Iglesias, a literal fan, and it shows because they're like, what'd you love about that Hall of Fame speech from Rey Mysterio? He goes, I loved the fact that Conan was out there. He goes, I was so excited. I was like, look, he's here. And he goes, and they gave him a mic. And you're like, that little tiny reaction, you're like, you watch, you know.
Oh, man.
Maria Menounos literally delivered the entire Hard Times promo in Dusty voice, like from beginning to end.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say that he was surprised they gave Ric Flair the mic because we know how long he would go on and on.
Ric Flair, the Great Muta, is the greatest Japanese wrestler I ever wrestled. Do you know how many Japanese wrestlers he wrestled? I mean, you just don't think about it for too long. Hey, speaking of Flair, Jack, it's a match that there's a lot to talk about coming up next.
Yeah, we get back-to-back great matches, in my opinion at least, which is funny because going into this, the build was very lackluster for something that when it was first announced was like, hey, they got a lot to build here.
They got a lot to build, but you got to be grounded in two things. Who's the heel? Who's the face? And they don't know, Jack.
Yeah, that's tough to decide when you've got someone who's supposed to be the face but has been generally disliked by the crowd for most of her career, and someone who's supposed to be in a heel faction, but because of who they're going against and the story being told, coming off very much as a babyface, especially after their performance in the Royal Rumble where they lasted from number 1 all the way.
Jack, she took a man's son and corrupted him. You know what's funny? The company, the booking, group, writers, Triple H, Vince, Charlotte, they refuse to acknowledge the truth that's staring them in the face, Jack. We want to boo Dominic to hell. We also want to cheer Rhea to the moon. I know that they are both intertwined, but we're happy with that dichotomy. We don't have to boo them both. We don't want to cheer them both. We want to boo one and cheer the other. You got a babyface rocking around with the biggest heel in the company. Sorry about your damn luck.
Yeah.
Charlotte doesn't even know how to be a babyface.
Charlotte doesn't even know how to hide the emotions off her face.
You know, Jack, when she came out, I thought she had plastic surgery. I'm like, what's wrong with her face? Did you think something was wrong with her face?
My issue was she just couldn't hide how much she was mad that they didn't get the main event of night 1.
That's very funny. But I'm looking at her face thinking she's had work done, but as the night goes on, I realize that it's not the case. But maybe they just caked on that makeup too much or something. But something was upsetting me visually.
I saw.
No, you're right, Jack. I was afraid they were going to give this match the main event slot. But if they did, it almost assured the world that Charlotte was going to win, because you got to end on a good, that big note,
Yeah.
But the actual main event had the much better told story.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I give props to these women for still going out there and putting on an absolute great match.
Yeah. No, Jack. I hate her, but I also hate how good she is, because I'm like, damn it, this is good.
Yeah, she, the two of them just went off in this match. It came off to me as them kind of saying you won't give us the main event? Fine, we're still going to go out here and put on a match that people will still be talking about. Because a lot of people look at this as the death spot, essentially. Being on before the main event, especially one that has fans so heavily invested, they're almost always saving their energy for that main event, but they got the fans to get into this one,
I agree.
Yeah, very, very good match. That one spot that's still living in my head is that overhead German that turned to Charlotte landing right on her face and getting a cut right down the nose. That was crazy. Honestly, it was pretty crazy to see a lot of the moves they were going with, and it really seemed like both kind of stepped up, what they were going to be using during this match. They could have easily been we're not getting the main event, let's just sleepwalk through this, do big move, and go home, but they were we're gonna go out there and show you some stuff, And
I'll tell you what, Jack, I was fearful the whole match. They had me hook, line, and sinker. I thought Charlotte could win this. She could win this, to my chagrin. So I'm really rooting for Rhea at every opportunity that she's got the upper hand.
Yeah, I think it's best I mention this here because it's going to be most evident when we talk about the main event. I was thoroughly checked out of this event both nights, emotionally wise, because I was like, I know this dang company, they're not getting me hooked into any of this. Because I know they will go with the unpredictable decision, if something's too predictable, or I just know they'll go with one decision because they want to, even if the fans want another decision. So I was like, I'm going into this with no expectations so that I'm not left disappointed. Like, I could be left somewhat surprised that they actually did certain booking decisions, but they're not getting anything from me, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, no matter what happens, I'm not going to be surprised. So similarly, when it came to this match, I was like, if Charlotte wins, I'm not even going to be surprised and disappointed, but that I'm not going to let it stop me from enjoying a match, you know? Similar to the matches on Ring of Honor.
I would like now to take this moment to describe to you, Jack, how petty I am. You said, I am not going to let, Charlotte ruin your enjoyment of this match. Win, lose, or draw. Rhea wins. Rhea wins with a avalanche riptide, right?
Yeah, wait, before that, she also pushed Charlotte into the ring post, which knocks her out. At least that's the visual we're given. She's knocked out and then hit with an avalanche riptide.
Before I get into this, and I'm going to keep it brief, Jack, did you see TakeOver?
I didn't get to catch a lot of the highlights. The only highlights I saw was of the women's ladder match.
Incredible match, Jack. And I love that you've seen it because I'm going to use it, okay? Because I would put that match in one of the top matches of the weekend, that ladder match, that Indy Hartwell wins, huh? With the help of Dexter Lumis, and that was so incredible and heartfelt and exciting. I'm like, the ending on that match alone bumps it up incredibly. Conversely, the match is over, Jack. We got to cut to commercial, cut to Cinnamon Toast Crunch, cut to TurboTax. They don't. What do? They linger, Jack, on what? On the new champ? On the LA crowd? No. They linger on Charlotte Flair sitting outside doing that stupid, haha, you got me, kid, smile. I hate her. I hate her, Jack. I hate her. Why couldn't she lose gracefully? Why couldn't she just be knocked out, be carried out to the back? Why couldn't she do the, I'm going to hand you the title and raise your hand? She didn't do any of that, Jack. We see it all the time. She could have done the handshake. She could have just walked away. Just leave. Just go, well, we'll give you your moment. No, Jack, we got 6 minutes of, ha 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 ha. You got me again.
And that was my issue, too. I was like, why does the camera keep panning over to her?
So frustrating.
Like, if it was when Sasha got beat by Bianca, they only showed that once when they showed her, still. But at least with Sasha, she was still, selling it, but you could see her smiling, happy Bianca got her moment. Charlotte obviously maybe wants to do the same thing for Rhea, but why did they show it so many times? Just show it once and cut away from it. Stop showing us her sitting there laughing and smiling.
And I'm so glad you saw the highlights of the women's match, right? Because they also show all the other participants laid out on the floor, right? And Roxanne Perez, with her goofy grin, is like, you go, girl. You just lost your title, right? I chalk that up to, you're a child. You got a lot to learn. But she's literally looking up going, you did it. Charlotte Flair ruined that match for me so much that I didn't even put it on the list, Jack.
Oh, man. But we move on to our main event of night one. Or at least we thought we do, but we gotta have one match in between to cool down the crowd ahead of time. And that's The Miz and Snoop Dogg coming out to hype up the crowd and talk about the attendance. And then for The Miz talking about needing a match if he wanted to or something like that. And Snoop Dogg makes him a match when Pat McAfee comes out to challenge him. And
what are you doing here, Pat? My favorite part of this whole bit, Jack, is when Snoop Dogg's leaving the ring and Miz is like, what are you doing? He goes, handle your business, man. He goes, handle your business. You fight. I rap. This is all you, man.
Yeah. But, all we get from this is George Kittle being at ringside to attack The Miz and then let Pat McAfee get the win on him.
This is one of those things, Jack, that I don't think went over with the crowd as much as they were expecting. And, frankly, it probably would have gone over if it was in a different town. But I don't know if L.A. loves Pat McAfee as much as other places.
I don't think L.A. loves George Kittle as much as they think because that's a completely different area than of California.
It makes me think of that New Japan show that was at the Long Beach Pyramid. They go, "We're coming back," and everyone's like, "Yay! We'll be in Santa Clarita," and we're like, "Boo! You think that's close to us, stupid?"
Yeah,
they literally booed that announcement.
Yeah, but after that, we finally get to move on to our main event. The Undisputed Tag Team Championships are on the line. The Usos defending against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Who come out, Jack, and did you notice what was on both of their shorts and pants?
I didn't notice the one on Zayn's, and I didn't notice Kevin Owens until after the fact. Kevin Owens had a PWG-styled logo and Super Dragon's mask.
Yeah. There's no letters, but it's the gorilla. The unmistakable gorilla.
Yeah. Nice to see them.
That was not only a shout-out to, like, their past, but, like, we're in L.A., and they're like, that is a sort of uniquely Southern California promotion.
Yeah. It was nice to see them sort of basically bring it all full circle, saying, we started here for... They didn't really... They got big here, we'll put it that way, because, it was PWG and Ring of Honor that got them big. But obviously, them being from Canada, they more than likely started off in some promotions out there before making their way to the U.S., but, PWG and Ring of Honor, that's the ones that got them big. That's the ones that got them known. Mm-hmm. Nice to see them bring it to them with the big stage.
Yeah. Oh, and Usos get played out by somebody whose name I don't know.
I forget the rapper's name. But yeah, I found that odd because I was like, what correlation does he have with the Usos? And I couldn't think of it.
He's cool. They the ones. He the one.
Yeah.
Down since, Jack.
Down since. What do you think about this match, sir? Both going into it and the match itself.
This is a long match, and I think it benefits from its length. I think in the beginning it's too standard, and it's, I'm a little lost, and I'm, frankly, maybe a little tired from, like, all the action. But when it picks up, so do I, and I'm into it. Because I think, too, I'm also like... This can go either way, hot diggity. This can go, it literally either way.
Yeah.
And Sammy does, and Kevin does, both do, like, an incredible job, like, selling. So, like, I cite Eddie Kingston again, right? Like, they look down and out early, Like, I'm like, oh, this is bad. Like, they got nothing left in the tank, huh? But, they got me hook, line, and sinker. And this is like really maybe PWG again, where it's just like, I don't know where all this energy came from, but I'm coming at your faces.
Yeah. It was real good once it kicked into its second gear. And, man, there was a lot of definitely like, well, to me it was a mix. There was spots that were definitely close, especially when it came to the kickouts.
Yes.
But also... There was a couple spots where I feel like it similarly just didn't have the same effect because a lot of the crowds weren't buying into it being the finish, Like a lot of times it felt like there would like be a big spot, but like no one was like, oh, that's the finish. But especially like, I don't know, as it got later into the match and they just like kept doing these big moves that weren't the finish, it kind of got to this point where it was really struggling to be like, okay, what's the finish here at this point, Because they hit a 1D and Zayn kicked out of it, and they mentioned something like, oh, like Michael Cole mentioned something like, oh, I don't think anyone's ever kicked out of it, and then it's like we get the pop up power bombs and the haluva kick and the stunner, but then they kick out of it, and so you're just like, man, what's going to be the finish of this match if we're already going through all of this? And then you get
with that question now. With that question in the air, I'm really into the finish of this match.
Yeah, I really liked it. Oh gosh, I liked the. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure he hit it. I don't remember. I think Zayn hit a brain buster at one point as a little tribute to El Generico.
Oh, was it on the?
I think he did it on the apron. Yeah, I think he did it on the apron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the finish was they hit Owens. Oh yeah, they hit Owens with a finisher and he kicks out of it. And then as they're fighting, Owens hits that big old fisherman's buster off the top rope.
Yeah.
You know? And then Zayn,
because they were going to do the 1D off the top rope. It was going to be like an avalanche 1D.
Yeah.
But Sammy interrupts and we get that fisherman brainbuster.
Yeah, and then we get Jay in the corner who gets hit by 3 consecutive haluva kicks, and each time Zayn catches him before he falls and just kind of looks at him and speaks to him and props him up in that corner before each one.
Because people are chanting one more time, well, you know what I mean? And each one, Jack, looked and sounded better and more fierce than the last.
Yeah. But we finally get the 3 count, and Owens and Zayn have ended the Usos' historic reign and are now the Undisputed Tag Champions.
It's incredible. Did you see, Jack, the press conference right after?
I saw a clip of it where I saw a couple clips, like the one where they were like, "Oh, what are you guys gonna do after?" And they were like, "We just want to go with our families."
Yeah, there's another great one where Sammy's giving this really long answer to a question about like the story they were telling, and while he's talking for a long time, Kevin is very sneakily trying to open a Snickers bar because there's Snickers bars on the table, and he just very sneakily behind the mic takes a bite, and he just nods. He goes, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah, I think he ate like 2, and then he snuck a 3rd one in his pocket.
I think he snuck, and like. That I was really excited to catch it. I just was putting shoes on. I'm getting ready to see Lucha, but I watched it, and I'm really glad I stuck around. I hate those things, though, because I think every question is terrible. You know, I'm like, you could have asked anything, and you asked this really contrived question. But Kevin Owens doesn't leave without saying that, like, a lot of people got him to where they are, right? And he says that, you know, they're a new tag team, but they've known a lot of great tag teams in their time. And he says, you know, he just says it. He says the Briscoes were a huge part of their upbringing. And he says that we just lost Jay and we miss Mark and we just wanted to name that like, you know, we love him and we miss him. And they both bolt because they're both going to start bawling their eyes out. I am at my living room. But they're just like, thank you. And then they leave.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was real happy with that because, when Jay passed away, I saw a ton of people like recommending matches. Yeah, and that's when I saw, you know, in Ring of Honor, one of the most prominent tag feuds was the Briscoes versus Steen and Generico. And now, it's not even biasly or, you know, trying to say just because he passed away, but I ended up checking out, they had a 2 out of 3 falls match, and that's honestly one of my favorite tag matches I've ever seen because of the story that they did for that match. Where going into it, the announcer said, like, the 2 teams have encountered, like, I think it was like 6 times, and Steen and Generico couldn't get a pinfall on them. So you're watching this 2 out of 3 falls match, and you're like, oh, well, it's 2 out of 3 falls. They're going to get a fall on the Briscoes, right? The Briscoes get the early fall. They're up 1-0, and the match just keeps going on, and you're like, wait, this match is only like 25 minutes long. When is the Generico and Steen pinfall coming, and then we fight for the final fall? They never get it. The Briscoes beat them 2-0, and they don't get another fall. The Steen and Generico still are unable to get a fall on them. And I was like, that is an amazing story to tell through that stipulation.
Wow.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. But real quick, sir, we have 1 minute and 25 remaining, and we still have night 2 remaining. What do you want to do?
We got to come back. We got to do one more episode where we talk about the matches that stood out to us. And then we're probably going to talk about our reaction to night 2 for a lot of that time.
Yeah, and I will quickly...
And the big news that came out today, Jack.
Yeah, and I will quickly mention to the audience with 1 minute left as we close out, if the next episode, which I don't doubt it won't go long because you and I obviously like to talk, but if for whatever reason it goes short or there's a couple matches that don't get noticed, please also know, at the time we're recording, it is 8:30 p.m. And though it is spring break, I have no doubts that Mr. Solis probably has plans of his own. So if we speed through certain things just to get the episode done, do not fault us. It may be spring break, but that doesn't mean that some of us still like to get things done.
I'm just saying.
But thank you all for joining for this episode. Tune in to the next episode where we discuss Night 2. And obviously, a lot of the big and chaotic news that's happened in the past day.
Yeah.